this is a traditional kind of. This is more like a traditional. The story can start. So you basically have your status quo. So you have your normal world around you, and then there's an upset, and most of the movie is about dealing with the upset. And
wouldn't that be like Act 2? Shouldn't that show some sort of like plateau or a plummet?
no, because things it's the opposite. Things are getting worse and worse. So basically, it's about so in Little Red Riding Hood, that's a pretty basic example. In her world, everything's fine and dandy, and she gets she sees that the world is not quite as nice. By the end of the story, she realizes the world is not quite as nice as she thought. Forest is a dangerous place, and Granny might not be there forever, and so the world there's a change. But I think probably if things are escalating. It's the escalation of things getting worse and worse.
Lord of the Rings is an example, right?
Yeah.
It goes from bad to worse and worse and worse. When you think that things cannot get any more worse, then they get worse again. So that's what you're trying to say, that this is like a building towards the climax, right?
Yes.
So this graph actually showing him getting worse. It's the same scale.
The y-axis is the same concept.
I guess that the resolution in this graph probably should be at a slightly different level to where it starts out. I guess probably, I don't know, scales on this one.
Like if you think about how the rest of this explained before, how it drops below this, that line, and now it's in the negative spectrum.
Yeah.
That's like energy is.
Like it's like
Yeah, it's
very, very sharp. This is actually
Yeah. So it doesn't have the accent of bad and good fortune.
tension.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
that to me,
yeah.
that's kind of more things that the tension's building, and at the end, the tension's gone. It's
Yeah.
dissipated. It's been resolved.
Cool. Okay, so in The Matrix, there's an incident. Morpheus gets called at work. Then in the first act, this is for a feature film, 3 acts. He takes a challenge basically. But some of these are basically the features of the mythical story. Not all stories follow this. There's other all sorts of stories basically. Cool. So now I'd like to talk about a logline. So I don't know what you guys would have an equivalent of, but basically it's everything in the story in a very short paragraph. Everything that the main character and the process they go through. So I'll be getting you guys to have a look at loglines soon. Quite useful to probably quite useful in you guys' profession, because you can quickly sell an idea to someone, to your supervisor. Yeah, so it just sums it up in a nutshell exactly what's going on. The whole idea is that you should, if you're in the movie business, you should be able to sell a movie idea to a producer within an elevator ride. So an elevator pitch. So probably elevator pitch could be quite useful for you guys in terms of maybe marketing your ideas to businesses or supervisors.
But also just pinpointing what you really want to build your system. So like with this stuff, you could see that there was just like a system going for social interaction and work in social spaces. This is exactly this long line, this elevator pitch that say, okay, I'm gonna design this and that. So as long as you cannot put it so sharply, it's very difficult to actually say what you're designing. Because it's cannot be this and that and all that and this as well.
Cool. So you guys probably had a feeling for some of what I just covered because of primary school and high school, having to talk about story and just having story in your own life it pretty much rings true to and if you love film and literature, obviously. So now I'm going to talk about filmmaking and how different techniques are used to create an emotional reaction. So you have a wide variety of people in a movie theatre, and you can guarantee that most of them are going to respond the same way. And how is that done? I know the theory. I'm working on the practical now, getting good at that. But basically, filmmaking is a multidisciplinary craft. You need lots of different people being creative. They work together, and every single little feature tells a story. So the person who designs the set is actually saying something about the story. They're creating the scene. They're quite a major role production designer, so they design everything from the sword. They're in charge of the departments that design things like swords or ray guns, but they also create environments. Then you have some cinematographers, and they can create mood in all sorts of ways, and they can tell stories and create emotional feelings through the grammar of film. So film grammar is basically a shot is like a letter, and it builds up into sentences and paragraphs. It's cool. So you've read that. I've got a video, I think, next here that shows the experiment. So editing, like I said, with other crafts like cinematography and production design, editing is a major way to create an emotional reaction. I'm just going to press skip again, play this video. So in this video, we see a shot of a person, mutual expression, and we have a shot of something, and they did an experiment and found that people assumed and interpreted that the person, the expression on the face was different, and the emotional expression was different depending on the shot that was juxtaposed. So there's a person eating, and they're assuming the reaction is that they're hungry. The assumption is that he's obviously admiring the woman. So here's a different. This is Hitchcock's interpretation of this experiment.
Now the third way is what one might call pure cinematics, the assembly of film, and how it can be changed to create a different idea. Remember, close up, let me show you what he said. Let's assume he saw a woman holding a baby in her arms. Now we cut back to his reaction to what he said. He smiled. And what is he as a character? He's a kindly man, sympathetic. Now, let's take the middle piece of film away from the child, but leave his two pieces of film as they were. Now we'll put in a piece of film of a girl in a bikini. It looks girl in a bikini, he smiles. What is it now? Dirty old man is no longer the benign gentleman. Loves baby. That's what we can do. Or you correct.
So Hitchcock can say it a lot better than I can. But yeah, maybe nowadays it's like perhaps this probably changes everything. I don't know. Psychos. So
Yeah, the glass on the other side.
material. Cool. So with editing, you can create an emotional engagement. Okay, so camera can dictate emotion. You can control the intensity of emotion by placing the camera close or far away from the eyes of the subject. A close-up will fill the screen with emotion, and pulling away wide angle will dissipate the emotion. Reading a PowerPoint is
Yeah. Sometimes a strange angle above the actor will heighten dramatic meaning. So what I found interesting is we watched that movie and I really enjoyed it. There was some high angle shots for convenience, but not for meaning. Mhm.
I felt because it's like a security camera, so you look down and it's like good coverage. But I think in some high and low angles that probably were ambiguous. So in film, I found it very good, by the way. But in terms of film grammar, it probably didn't have any meaning in that term. The actual content and the actual look was very impressive. Was the dolly shot in the end? Was that on a chair or was it a dolly? Or?
It was on a chair. It was
Yeah,
like there were like
good.
cameras on the.
Chairs are great for moving shots.
Honestly, that shot was there happened to be a balcony raised.
Yeah.
Actually, from behind the board, because the board was
Light.
overlaid afterwards.
Yeah.
So the board and the
That's cool. Sometimes what you do is you fake it, so you push everything not even, you don't have to change any walls or anything, but you push all your elements forward and you just have your camera, and the camera is terrible at depth, so you can actually in a wider space you can actually got your reverse shots from actually standing where the board was or standing beside the board to distance. Yeah. So that's off topic. So camera angle has a lot of meaning. So there's lots of film grammar that's developed over the years from trial and error and from because originally cameras just stayed still. It was a big wide shot. It was just sort of play. But when the camera started to move and when the lenses became better, so you had the zoom shot, which can draw attention. So you're getting more close to a person. Wider shots are a lot colder. A lot. And yeah, a lot less tension in a wide shot. So they're the different types. Like I was saying, tracking in draws the viewer's attention closer. Tracking back, you become less worried about what's going on, less intensity, and the speed. So the speed of tracking might affect the viewer's mood. But what's quite interesting in Taxi Driver is a great movie to see for cinematic emotional use of filmmaking. It's an interesting shot. He walks into the taxi depot, and it starts out, and you see him walk in, and and then you see him walk past the camera. But then it's one whole pan, but it actually comes to this point of view. It goes from becoming a third-person shot to a point of view in one whole shot. You only, and this is to do with juxtaposition. This is to do with editing. You see that he's no longer in shot, and then you see him looking at what the camera's looking at, and then he walks out again. And it's third person again. So it goes from third person to first person, and you only know it's first person after you see that it was first person. So you can have something happen before a shot or after a shot that informs the previous or the next shot. So that's where the Kirchhoff experiment is quite. Is it Kirchhoff? Yeah. So I've talked about camera angle. High camera angles make the person seem vulnerable and powerless. So it's quite a common. It almost seems obvious when you watch movies, but you're so engaged. Movies, in some regards, mimic dreaming. So there's this subconscious process going on when we're watching them. We forget what we're being streamed that's being given to us, basically. But it's funny when you analyze it. This is the opposite. This is a low angle shot, makes someone look dominant, aggressive, ominous. Ominous. Actually, had to cut. Orson Welles had to actually dig a hole in the floor because they didn't really have the money, but they ended up just digging the hole in the floor of the studio, breaking the concrete up, just to get that low shot. He was one of the first people that showed ceilings in a movie. You just didn't see it because that's where lighting rigs go. So someone actually had to build a ceiling to let him have his high shots, low shots rather. Okay, so the Dutch tilt. Dutch tilt gets used a lot, too much, but it is quite an interesting. It can be used for different things, but it's unsettled. It's slightly twisted, so you feel slightly uncomfortable when you see it. It's not a natural shot. I'm talking about. I have talked about, and I will be talking about some very cherry-picked ideas. There's so much that adds to film grammar and to story. So eye level, there's no conflict. So like I said, low level shot, lots of conflict in the scene. Bird's eye view takes us out of the line of conflict, so it can be seen as a neutral or yeah. So the thing of it is, when you're writing a film script, you can't think like it's literature. You can't. You have to show everything. So how do you? It's very. If you write someone is having an emotional feeling, you have to think about how you can say that visually. So obviously editing, you show the thing and then you show the person. You have a dolly shot, you move in, and it creates. It's very. If you think about it, you don't actually get that close to people in real life. I mean, we've got a certain distance right now, but a camera can get right in someone's face. That's it's quite an emotional. It's quite a tool for producing emotional reaction. Okay, camera blocking. So you got lots of choices to make. Everything in film is that you see. Almost everything is not an accident. It's been thought of. Someone's installed that. Someone's decided on the costume. Someone's decided on the lighting. Someone's decided on where people stand. What they say. Pretty much everything. You have these happy accidents. That even though someone's decided to keep those, someone's decided not to cut those out. So you can create a statement with body language and blocking where people are standing. Okay, so sound, music, and emotion. Obviously, music reinforces the mood of a scene. So, yeah.
Yeah, so like, say big stories such as Game of Thrones, often you'll see like scenes that, on first appearance would be like some sort of random thing that you're like, oh, that was kind of, I don't know why they put that in there, or like it just doesn't seem like it's part of the storyline. But in actual fact, later on down the track, like those characters actually play a really important role, and like that actual interaction is actually like a precursor to this interaction that happens quite far down the track.
So there's parallel action happening there,
Yeah.
and they're introducing an idea, and they want you to keep it in your head, and then they're going to exploit it later on in the story.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's quite interesting.
So, like, this book may not relate, but like I said earlier, if you have some sort of clue, you want to engage people, so you want their minds to be trying to almost know what story you're telling them, but not quite. So you want to be hinting at things all the time. You want a little clue there. Some of those things don't eventuate, and they are just a red herring. They're just a red herring. But obviously, in those stories with television's becoming more like film now. But television does use different techniques because it can tell stories over multiple episodes and multiple seasons, and you already know the characters and you already know the scenarios almost. You've been given like the baby killing and you've been given like what can happen. You've been given an idea. So television is a large form and have big story arcs that go through seasons. So you can have tropes and you can have things that people already identify. So if you watch Game of Thrones a lot, you probably notice that occurring as a theme. Is that here? I don't. I also don't watch Game of Thrones.
Sometimes I actually watch it multiple times.
Yeah.
Because I pick up on things that I didn't really kind of pick up on this time around. And kind of see like the characters kind of developing. When you watched it first time around, you just see something happening. Like, oh, whatever. The next part of the story.
Especially with the first season, right?
Yeah.
They'll be picking up things. They'll be picking up things from other episodes too. Won't they?
Yeah.
Yes.
Massive
Television's a
first
great. Like television is not the bastard child of film. It is so much its own thing. I mean, you can. It's so one. A film has to tell a whole story in 2 or 3 hours, but a television series can 13 seasons. It can develop characters and it can develop whole. You know, it's like War and Peace. You know, it can develop. Yeah, it can develop a life story. Okay, so you can make a story quite quickly, and that's a challenge I'm going to give you guys soon. Like we made this film. I'm going to show you it, even though beginning filmmakers shouldn't show their early works. No, this was a collaborative exercise. Like I was saying, film is quite a collaborative exercise, and it's not. If you're a novel writer, you're generally writing on your own. But if you're a script writer, a script might go through several revisions, and it might have different writers on it. You have a director, cinematographer, production designer. The actors are working to create a world and a story, and everything informs the story. But this is an example of a short film we made we shot in about an hour and a half, and I edited it, and probably in about 3 hours we were done. And it's pretty basic, so be kind. But I just thought I'd show you it because it's basically rapid prototyping of a story. So everything, including editing, was done in about 3 hours.
They can eat. Yeah. Like it. Is it online? It says it's online. It's all online. Does this mean I don't want to break. I don't know what to do. What do we want to do? Oh, they laughed at us. They said you can't do that, but no, man, we did. They laughed a lot, didn't they? It's online. It's working. It's working. Okay. Let's do something. Okay. What's something? What do you want to do? Pet dinosaur. There are 1,000 reasons why that's a bad idea. Just a little one. No, we're not going to get a pet dinosaur. We should have thought about this beforehand. We should have planned earlier. Yes. Okay. Let's do something. Okay. What's something? Oh, we should have planned this in advance. It's like something simple, something easy. Why don't we go back to this morning and make ourselves, our past selves, some breakfast, right? So that when we wake up, we have breakfast there. That's a boring way to go back in time. Okay. I just thought, you might want to be a bit tentative, testing it for the first time. Nah. How about kill Hitler? No, we're not killing Hitler. We didn't build a time machine so we could go back and kill a baby. But it's a little Hitler baby. It doesn't matter if it's any baby. How are you even going to know which baby is Hitler? We just constructed a machine that can bend time, and you think babies have moustaches? Hitler did not have a moustache. All his life. This is ridiculous. So we can record it. We don't need to go back and get a dinosaur or kill Hitler. We should never kill Hitler. Why? That's off the table. Do you like Hitler or something? No, I don't like him. You like him. I don't. You want to be his friend. I don't even know the man, but I don't like Hitler.
I just think it's a bad idea to alter history in such a dramatic way. But Hitler, you know, did bad things. Of course he did bad things. We can stop those bad things. But those bad things have defined our history now. Okay, let's take a breather. I'm going to go and get a history book. Yep. Right? We'll look at, maybe we can find someone not as influential as Hitler. Let's see. Right? Is that a good idea? I'll be right back. Don't kill Hitler. Right? Hey, man.
Hey, how's it going?
Mark wants to go back in time and kill Hitler.
Kill who?
You know, Hitler.
Ah!
You killed him, didn't you? With who? I don't know.
So the reason I showed you my film here was we did that and we wrote it, shot it, and edited it for about 3 hours. So that's kind of the equivalent of rapid prototyping, it's film storytelling. But so it's you can see the imperfections, but I thought it'd be a good way to.
There's another one.
Yeah, there is another film. I don't know if we've got enough time if we want to do the exercise.
I'll show it to you.
Okay, so there's another film. I did the V 48 hours with some friends, and our crew kind of collapsed, split in half. So we ended up doing this film in 24 hours. It's shot in my house if you want to see how hokey it is.
Yeah, I did that.
Really?
Yeah.
Three.
Yeah, once actually. Well, I used the thing on the first two, but the third one it didn't work properly.
That was the woman's colour, father.
Yeah, so we probably ripped off a few films there, but yeah, so we did that in 24 hours. It's normally a 48-hour film festival, but so okay, so what I'd like you guys to do now is use these photos. This is an correct exercise. Use these photos to develop a world, a main character, a conflict, and maybe a resolution. So we'll get you guys to start thinking about, and I'd like you in maybe groups of 3, and just quickly, it's a very quick exercise to rapidly prototype a story, basically. Now, yeah, so 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, and another 3. And I'm just going to give you some things to think about. Yeah.
This is for the.
Oh, cheers. Thank you. Cool. So. Well, no. Oh. Terrible at PowerPoints.
No, you want to go back?
Oh, yeah.
It was just this.
Oh, yeah, okay. So, can you build a quick story? Think about character setting, plot, conflict, resolution. Create a logline, if you can. I mean, anything you do now will help you think about maybe personas and a scenario where a user might have a problem or. So I've got some log lines here. Paranormal activity. After moving into a suburban home, a couple becomes increasingly disturbed by a nightly demonic presence. Blair Witch Project. 3 filmmakers go missing after travelling into the woods of Maryland to make a documentary about a local Blair Witch legend, leaving only their footage behind. Yeah, so that's a log line. Basically, it's a short way to describe a story.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so in groups of 3, if you brainstorm about, pick someone as the main character, a problem, and their world.
Okay, so you have like 20 minutes for it, right?
Yeah. So quicker the better, because that's where Krisha helps come up with ideas. So I mean, you can think about the status quo of the character in their normal life before they have a crisis. You can think about a clue that might be trouble ahead. You can think about the conflict, the problem, a worsening situation leading to a climax, and then you can think about the resolution, which is the new status quo. Yeah. So I mean, any progress you guys make in any of those areas is good. Yeah, sure. That'll help. Eh?
Can you show that last slide again?
That one. Okay.
No, that's no.
I didn't think of that. I know. Can I escape?
Write the stuff on the whiteboard.
Yeah, we can write that on a whiteboard. There is no marker for a whiteboard.
Probably want a different whiteboard.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
I can grab
Can you
it.
just write it down? It's like that's not much.
Yeah.
It's like a meeting.
And I can, if you need any, I'll come and help if you guys need any. Shall we do one?
It's like wondering how
Guys, just write it down and you will get the pictures.
Yeah.
So or take a photo with your mobile phone and then you will look at it.
Sketch those as a computer to make the characters still
So whatever comes first, one could follow the other. One could, you think about the person, and then you could think, oh well, they're a lawyer, then they have an office. That's probably quite nice, or they're homeless. They have an alley. You know, like you think about the person and then describe their surroundings. Just,
Give the photos.
oh yeah.
Oh, there's a baby or like? There's no baby up there.
Think of it in terms of the empathic design.
Story Cinderella story or something. But let's this gender was the is it your lucky child? Yeah. That's her when she's grown up. She's
Hanging
like
£1. That's the photo that you see.
the perpetrator, but
I thought there was someone's hair. It's okay.
For example, which is not going to make my hand completely.
One person, a kid, and a bouquet. And someone with John Lennon glasses. Curly hair.
By the way,
Picking the handcuffs.
I guess the first one was. Or is that?
Tone on you as
you
well.
have to deal with some sort of street scenario. Vegetables.
Crime, like.
She's got control. She's serious like care.
Yeah.
Kill with another.
There's no baby.
Show got a brunch. Don't have to reverse check the record. That's okay. Since it's straight, it's joking. It's like a Batman scenario.
Combine elements from Frankenstein.
Batman.
That's it. I like your hair. For you guys.
No, magician. Birdie.
Two more minutes. 10 more minutes. 10 more minutes, yeah.
No? I'm just like annotating. It's mostly I've got like two like
Batman saves her, and then she's like, "Oh man, that's such a cool idea. I want to be Batman."
something like that.
Disgusting. Just move.
Or she doesn't kill you.
Extra credit, man.
I had tone.
I'll give you an A.
What's
Tone.
What's another word for what was it line? Oh, plot line.
Exactly.
Oh, the elevator pitch, log line.
Log, yeah. What's the other name for that? Different name in my head. I think maybe I just know what his pitch.
So treatment is a short form.
Yeah.
Treatment. That's also,
It's like
there's no.
No, because I wrote a pitch for my head. I can't remember what the name you call the short pitches.
She's not going to jail. She's just saving people's lives. Oh, and the natural flow here. Breathing. Let's have a go at treatment around. What that's in there. So, if it's arrested, then something to do. And I don't know, like, it's go take arrested. He's a thing. He's a brother, it's like, other guys that you like find out where their daughter is because they're very labeled on the purpose of
Where do you see the car?
so mother starts to like
Very important,
Open form.
I don't want to say that. She's not
Are we really combined?
But that doesn't make sense. Probably degenerates a child. Like some sort of like degeneration where everyone grows young. Yes.
So yeah, another dice.
The daughter dies.
Yeah.
That's got a similar theme.
What dies? The dad takes someone's. That was the guy who killed who typical what's the other minority report. His son gets killed or taken away, and then he becomes a cop. Crimes like what's it going to be? Crimes and in the end he discovers the killer is still son. Sorry, he's like, actually, I'm pretty happy to take your life because this is my.
I had
I've been waiting
a
this
woman
my
had
whole
that
life
photo,
to
those photos are the same.
take your life.
And I
They
stay
doesn't
with her
know
kid,
he-
and
he
then she
just
loses her
puts
kid, and I
his
was like,
for himself.
kill her.
But then he realizes that it's all big
She goes crazy ones within the mental.
so then he has to come up with another.
And then
resolution. Where
The
it's
guy
like, damn
gets
it.
the guy gets caught. And but she manages to escape and she's to kill him.
Why don't
It's
you
like
keep it up?
his vengeance the right thing.
It is. So many stories.
When he goes to kill her,
Just one, because like, yeah, we would like to hear it all.
Tried and true.
any plot. It's impossible.
No, they're just like
So that's how she locates.
scumbags. They don't need to. Yeah, they're just like slugs and just tear the city apart.
So we covered the handcuffs. Like, what if she decides not to kill him? In this case, the rest of the Or, oh, actually, because she's psychic, she's or what if it's caught and she decides that she'll let him go to jail and changes her mind and kills her? She should know where he is.
It's
Or
not
it's
her,
an
though.
associate. They want to find him out.
Fun.
She could be a little surprised. But she tortures her. Information.
Oh, no, that whole-
Oh wow, cool.
Yeah, so the story is like there's a couple of options. But it gets worse and worse. And there's no fight. They like also things are going bad. So they just like fighting house. This is the last time. The whole house comes in, there's just screaming. Daughter gets out and she's in an accident. And then she gets amnesia.
So you're saying she tries to torture her.
She needs to report them up. The mother decides to take transport. So like
Take the plane?
Yeah, take the plane. Go to the prison, but there's a lawyer who so she discovers something that helps her watch what's going
Start
on
in the middle,
with
tell
the
us,
daughter.
tell you.
There's no reason to discover it from down in here. But she always listens for the rest of the life that she's
This
an
has
angel.
this
The
fortune
mother
on
will
the
get supporting the daughter from home.
It's a little short one.
Yeah.
It's cool.
So yeah. Thank you. It's a long time I got
Batman in my head. There, there.
Yeah, guys ready to tell the stories?
It's okay if you're not finished. It's just a good exercise to really brainstorm and think about, I guess, personas and
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
You need a moment.
I think we don't even, because that's more.
Do you have a log
the
line
film itself,
or
it's
a-
not the story. We do the story. That's all we need.
That's cool. We can generate one in a group.
Oh yeah,
We can now. It's like it's like
Globule.
Voltron, you know. You have smaller robots and then you get bigger.
We're like globules.
Yeah.
Okay. Ready? Yeah.
Let's go.
It's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. So, who's your main character? We'll go back to these things.
Yeah.
Do you have a character? Do you have a main? Do you have a protagonist? There we go.
Yeah, we have the woman in the bottom frame, but we decided that she was the kid or the mother in that photo. She's the older one.
Yeah, she's the older
Does she have a name? No.
Knife lady.
Knife lady. Cool. And what does she? Cool.
She's a mother. She's mother.
Yeah, she's the mother.
Yeah.
Her daughter is killed by.
So is the daughter the daughter the toddler or the teen, or intense 20-something or teen? Is it
No, not the kid.
the kid? Cool.
Yeah.
Because the kid was killed. Or
Or is it just a
by the kid. Then starts in the graveyard. Then she's like, the characters. I mean, both characters and then like
The villain. Yep.
And then he gets arrested. She has to choose whether or not.
She actually gets a chance whether to actually call the cops on him or whether she could actually kill him.
So it's like a choice.
Yeah, it's a choice. How far will you go?
An alternative where he gets arrested and the kid's still missing. He told the police, so she wants to go and talk to them or not.
Yeah, everybody knows it's simple. But the kid doesn't really where the kid is. Like she has a chance. It's like how far will she go to actually get it out of him?
Oh, cool. Like, yeah.
It's the
I
beginning
probably
of the story.
I probably loaded it towards crime. I don't know.
Yeah.
Something,
Definitely.
something in my psyche. No. Cool. Okay. What was the? Did you think of a resolution?
Good choice.
Yeah,
Good
it's a
choice.
Yeah.
Cool. And if you had a log line, what would it? Do you have anything that would look like a log line, or?
Probably go for family, something like that.
Yeah. How far
Yeah,
will
we'll-
someone
we'll-
go?
The sum total of what we said without the redundancy.
Cool.
So
And-
who will be the winner? The evil choice, like to kill the time. Spare him.
Yeah, we ended with that question.
I'd get that DVD. Cool. Sweet. And you guys? Dude, I was stuck in my head with that one.
No, we had a few.
Characters is girl with rose and the mother gets killed by white collar
White collar. Fine. So they're like they're lawyers or accountants or
Street
street lawyers. So this is like a warped future where the middle class has been brought down to the streets, and I love it.
She becomes
I love it. Oh, dude, this is like this is RoboCop 2. It's really RoboCop.
fathers to revenge the mother's mother, but she hands over the cancer instead. And the conflict is the mother dies, she wants to kill, but she doesn't want to walls, those gangs. And then the rest of them. The resolution is she finds the mother's killers, and then she gets a letter from the university overseas and says, that's the kind of
It's awesome. So we'd have to introduce her. So that's kind of her status quo, isn't it? They're going to university. That's kind of the norm. But
Oh, that's, I don't know.
no, but like we'd have to introduce it earlier on, or it would just be like a bomb. You'd be like, you know, when you watch a movie, you're like, they just introduce information. So you'd introduce that in the first kind of third of the movie, the first act. You talk about it'd even just be it could even be a shot of her filling out an application form, and then the last shot, the last few shots in the movie could be her like signing it and putting it in the letterbox. Because you're a friend to your viewer, and you introduce an idea, and then you yeah.
Like, that's the beginning of showing her double life. Like that's her other life. So where she's just living a life, going to university, doing that, and so she doesn't say that.
In the history of Batman has it.
So the thing Batman has going for it is it's a spectacle. It's like Transformers. So Batman has story, and it has a lot of other features, but it's also a spectacle thing. You do have cool stuff going on. So story can be there, but it doesn't. It's like a blockbuster movie. You can get away with the spectacle. Cool things happening, and it doesn't matter. Cool. So would you have a log line at all, or? A perfect life is ripped away. She must come to terms with it.
Yeah, so I guess her mother died when she was like 5 years old. She wasn't going through school, and she's going through school. She found all the work. That's what's
Would she like study criminology or something?
This was nice, you know.
That's what I was thinking. Cool. Wait. Do you want to talk about your ones?
I can tell mine.
Yeah, Argus got like you guys, you've got a graph. Argus.
Yeah. So my story is like this. There's like a happy family. Like they are all like living happy, mom and daughter. So like no father there. And they live in a pretty decent neighborhood, but the neighborhood gets worse and worse, and some crime going on. So they decide to buy a new house. And they buy a new house, and they are just about to move to the new house, and suddenly they hear like a woman screaming outside of their old house of the last night. And the mother, she doesn't want to help, but the daughter runs out, and she helps the woman, and she accidentally kills the guy. And not only kills the guy, but she gets an amnesia, so she cannot remember anything. She cannot recognize the mother either. So the mother decides that she's going to take the blame for the daughter and say that it was her who killed the man. So she gets arrested and she goes to prison for life. But there is a lawyer who was kind of helping her during the process, and he kind of doesn't believe that really happened the way she presented it. There are like some inconsistencies there. So she gives her some magical thing from the future that helps her kind of watch over the daughter and see how the daughter is doing. So that the end of the story is that the daughter is like living through her life, feeling like she has some sort of angel helping her, like kind of watching over her through her life. Yeah. Yeah. So that was the empathic design at the end that I was trying to squeeze in. Yeah.
So is there anything we can put in the first part that would pay off in the end? Is there anything we can add to any of your stories at all that would is there an early kind of, so we start out with the normal world that we're living in, and we need to introduce some sort of hint that things are going to go, even in a very short story, before things go real bad, you need to almost clue the viewer in on what.
Yeah, but that's why I'm thinking that it's like bad neighborhood. So that there are like bad things happening there.
Yeah.
Like it's like kind of like in case like okay, there will be a problem.
So that's really good, I suppose, because I suppose that when this sort of story is straight into the sort of the bad situation.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like there's a hint, and then it all almost gets okay, and it goes wrong.
The girl can start getting flashbacks of what actually happened while her mother's in prison, and then she's like, oh, hang on, that was me. Like, what? Oh, this has been a serious mistake that's gone on. I got to try and get my mother out of prison.
Yeah, but then
Without
there's
going to
another
prison
movie,
myself.
right?
Yeah.
This is a
I
sequel.
feel it,
Which can actually go like this, like like more and more flashbacks. So like she lives happily, and then flashbacks, and then she. Yeah.
So flashback is obviously, it can be a literary thing, but it's probably, we think of it in terms of film, and it's almost like a dream. So that's a form of technique it's a form of exposition. So all story needs some exposition. So you need to introduce, because you've only got a limited amount of time, you need to introduce a lot of information about the character. You need to put clues in, and how delicately you use exposition is how good at story writing you can be. You can have a narrator saying, "Once upon a time there was a girl, she had a red cape." You can, or you can, with film you can show a lot in a very short period of time, just by showing, basically. Yeah. You don't. Good films tend to show. Bad films tend to use a lot of exposition and narration. Just characters talking about stuff. I've committed these crimes.
Yeah.
What's your
Oh, I honestly, I had a brain freeze because I got stuck. I couldn't not think of Batgirl. Cool.
Right, the bottom. Can you go to the
Yeah.
The bottom right. Is it a man's hand or
I think it's a man's hand, but you can treat it as ambiguous. The idea is that the photos are a good starting place. They stop writer's block. They get you going. So you can draw anything from it.
is that the blood or is that just
It's because it's black and white. There's no blood on it. I don't think it's just a shadow. So one thing I wanted to cover was what film techniques could help, that were discussed, could help in scenes. But I suppose we haven't discussed any scenes really.
Okay. Thank you, Mitch.
No worries.
So I'm going to get you to the assignment. You know that you already have to do the interviews. And then you need to do the affinity diagramming from the interviews. Then I would like you to segregate the behaviors in the bipolar categories, the ones that I showed you on Tuesday. Then I would like you to create the personas for your solution, and based on them, try to use to write a scenario. And it would be absolutely cool if you could use the thing that Mitch told you about dramatic storytelling to kind of describe the story in a more engaging way rather than like that someone is pressing on buttons of some sort of device. Okay, I'm going to write it into a Word document and send it to you tomorrow in the morning, so you get it all written down. And this will be due on the August the 12th. So it's a week and a half to get through all of it, because Mark would like to take it all to Samsung on the 15th. So yeah, we'll have a chance to still put it together and then present it to Samsung. Yeah, perfect.
This is based on the context that we chose.
Yes. Yeah. So yeah, you don't need to kill anyone there, but but yeah, just try to think about it in those terms, that there's like a status quo, and then something happens, and then like you introduce your solution, which kind of changes the situation one way or the other. Yeah. Cool. Okay, I'm going to call Mark because now is the moment to discuss the